This week I got pretty busy between my regular work and my boxing classes, so I had to come up with a quick platinum game that I could finish in less than 5 hours. Upon searching and searching on my library, I finally found a game called Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. I searched the trophy guide on psntrophies.com, and to my surprise, the game only takes 3 hours to be fully completed. The game also has a total of 12 trophies, so I started to streaming and I decided to complete it as fast as I could. But I didn't know that the game had a surprise for me.
Let's go!
The game opens up with mom teaching her younger son how to drown. We then cut off to the present day, watching a ghost appear in front of us. But no, not that one. This one. And then we find out about the terrible luck that our two brothers have, having to take our sick dad to the doctor. But first, of course, we had to make some time to get ourselves the first trophy of the playthrough. After learning how bridges work and climbing all the way to the top, we finally met the doctor, who talked to us about a magical tree that maybe could heal our father, so we started a new journey searching far and wide for the magical tree, encountering Gandalf in our way as well. We decided then to take a swim, and apparently the younger brother was not very good at it, so with some help, we finally made it to the other way, just to see Gandalf mock us from the other side of the door. The brothers then decided to climb up and T-post a little bit before releasing a very scary beast to scare Gandalf away, finally letting us pass through the small village, and also carefully waking up the bridge guard. And crossing the bridge, making our way to a different part of the small village, where we decided that a little girl had enough playtime with her ball, granting us the second trophy of the playthrough. Asking around for the three, we came across a musician and decided to play some tunes for our trip, which continued with us being chased by a pretty big dog, but fortunately we made it through with none of the brothers being harmed at all. Upon climbing, the two brothers made their way to a farm, where the younger brother decided to free a bird that was trapped on a cage. And apparently, it was also time for the brothers to play a little bit with the animals, so we got a sheep and magically changed its colors, and after that we repeated the process with a bunny who was finally accepted by the rest, which gave us 2 new trophies. After solving another quick puzzle, the brothers were able to cross a bridge, meeting up with a giant on the top of the hill, who was actually kind enough to help us make our way through the mountain, until we reached a big hole on the ground, where the giant decided to jump down to our surprise. We then had to part ways with our new friend, finding out a factory inside the mountain, so we didn't waste our time and we decided to break some parts of it. And after that we came across a big pond full of fishes, where nothing happened, like, at all. I was really expecting for something to jump out of the water or anything like that, but yeah, nothing happened. After the magical pond of nothingness, I got hooked to the gameplay of this game, and I was able to get the two brothers to the other side of the room, where they started climbing up again, breaking more stuff on their way and finally making their way through the cave on the most basic roller coaster of the place. The cave started falling up apart, but the boys made it and they encountered another giant, who asked for some help, so the younger brother decided to steal a key from the guard and fret the giant lady, who left us waiting for some help, which alerted the guard. But we were clever enough to trap him on the cage on the middle of the room, watching the giant lady come back for us. I already had enough of the caves, so after completing some more puzzles, we were able to make it to the exit, where we found out that the lady already knew our old buddy, but this reunion was interrupted by another guard, who was pretty angry, bashing his head around, which helped us break some chains, and by doing so, we were able to finally defeat the guard.
Long live the king.
Now that we were finally outside of the cave, we asked our giant buddy for instructions on how to get to the magical tree. He pointed the way and the brothers started the journey once again, while we also saw a glimpse of our father's health. At night, the brothers were awakened by a group of wolves.
Baby, I'm playing on you tonight.
So the big brother took a torch and started making his way through the pack of wolves, but one of them was clever enough to push the younger brother, so we had to restart and finally made our way through the pack, making our way to a graveyard, where the younger brother decided to make a wish, granting us another trophy of the game. This part was pretty boring, to be honest, so with help of an old man we made it through the graveyard, but then we got jumped by one of the wolves, so the brothers decided to jump to a river that was running below them and save themselves of turning into wolf food. We then decided to jump to a pair of rocks that did not look steady at all, so of course they broke and we went back to the river, where the younger brother almost fell through a waterfall, but he was fast enough to grab himself to a rock, making his way through some plant monsters that were laying around, and one of them actually broke the vine that was holding our brother, so we had to jump to the river to save him. The younger brother then had a pretty weird dream, which ended up with him being beaten up by his older brother, who in reality was actually just trying to wake him up, so the two brothers then hugged each other and decided to continue their journey. At the distance we saw a man that was trying to end everything, but we managed to save him at the last time. Apparently his house burned away with his family inside, and that was the reason why he was trying to hang himself. But we helped him recover a musical box that was inside the house, granting us another trophy and leaving us with a clean consciousness after saving the man from hanging himself and helping him bury his family. The pair of brothers made its way to a pretty high point of the mountain, where they met a bunch of goats, so they decided that it would be a pretty good idea to mount them to climb the rest of the mountain, and I'm not gonna lie, this was the best part of the game for me. I really had a great time climbing on top of some goats. After climbing with the help of the goats, we met a scientist who threw us a gear to solve yet another puzzle. We then made our way to a giant trumpet, which granted us another trophy while the scientist was dancing around. The older brother then used a telescope and watched the bird from the start of the game reunite with her love, giving us the next trophy of the playthrough. The brothers then decided to skydive a little bit, but some birds had some other plans, so thanks to an emergency landing, we were left with only a rope, which the brothers decided to tie between them, helping us climb around the big castle and making our way to the very top of it, where we saw an open door. So we then decided to peek around and found a very injured creature on the table, and thanks to some teamwork of the brothers, we were able to finally free it, escaping from the room and sadly watching the creature fall due to its wounds. The brothers continued exploring the place, and were pretty surprised when they saw at a distance a giant's body, and this was no regular giant like our friend from earlier, this was a shack-sized giant. So they had to go down the path of the giants, making their way through some body parts and some giant weapons. We actually even managed to cut off a giant's legs, so yeah, that happened. And almost at the end of the road, the brothers made their way to a giant horn, which they decided to play, to grant us another trophy. We then decided that it would be a pretty good idea to shoot a giant arrow, so that helped us free our way to continue our trip, watching some kind of cult at a distance, who apparently were trying to sacrifice a girl, so the brothers decided to disguise themselves as a mythological creature and were able to free the girl up, who guided them to an underground cave, where they were able to find a boat, and we used that boat to enter a pretty shady looking cave, where we got another trophy, so we only had 2 more to go. We continued our boat trip finding some not so friendly whales, and one of them actually jumped on top of us, but apparently the game did not register the hitbox properly, so I am not complaining. Now finally on land, we saw a giant turtle and some baby turtles having a pretty rough time trying to get up, so the brothers decided to throw them away to help them, which gave us another trophy. We then made it to the top of the mountain, where the girl was waiting for us to cut a tree down to make a bridge, but the brothers decided that it would be a great time to sing with the whales at a distance, which granted us the last trophy of the game, and there it was. All confused on why the platinum did not pop up for the game, I decided to check the trophy section of the game and then finally realized the game had no platinum trophy at all. No. So yeah, apparently I wasted 3 hours of my day trying to get a platinum that did not even exist. But hey, we were almost at the end of the game, so I decided to finish it up. The brothers were able to cut down the tree and get to the other side, where they started to see a lot of frozen people. They then used a catapult to make our way inside a town that was next to them, but inside of that place they saw at a distance an invisible giant, so they had to hide behind some frozen bodies to make it through, but upon reaching a house they were discovered by the giant, so they started running towards a big bridge where the giant finally got defeated by falling down to the ground. The girl apparently got pretty excited with the older brother, so the group then continued their way to the top of yet another mountain. So they decided to go inside a pretty dark and scary hole, and inside they found out that this whole time the girl was actually a giant spider lady. The brothers were able to defeat her, but not before she could stab the older brother, so the younger brother had to help him continue the journey for the magical tree, and after falling down to some avalanche, they were finally in front of the magical tree. The older brother looked pretty bad, so the younger brother had to run to the top of the tree and got the magical water for him. He went back to see his brother and tried to cure him with the help of the water, but everything was in vain. The older brother was already gone. The game then decided to trick us thinking the older brother was still alive, but at the end we just had to bury him under the tree, and while doing so, the flying creature from before came to help us get back home. So we made it back during a stormy night, where the younger brother, with some help of his mother and his older brother, was able to swim across to the other side of the land, finally getting the magical water to his dad, and curing him with the help of it. Now in the future, the younger brother and the father looked over at the graves of the mother and the older brother, finally ending this game. And that's it, guys. This is the story on how I tried to get a platinum on a game that had no platinum to start. And while recording this, I also found out that a remake of this game will be coming this same month. So hopefully once I buy myself a PS5, we will be able to revisit the game and finally get the platinum. I really hope that you like this video. I will catch you in the next one. Adios!